Dr. Mark Changizi here through Science Moment. Today I'm going to talk about how free expression even applies to published papers that you may not like. And I'm going to talk about David Fissman, who published an article that was suggesting that on the basis of an extremely long, complicated model, suggesting that the unvaccinated are indeed a super dangerous risk to the vaccinated, and it's further pushing this kind of narrative that they need to be discriminated against, prejudice. We should have prejudice against them, and it's justifiable, and they're an unclean outgroup. But I don't want to focus on any of that kind of unclean, vaccinated versus unvaccinated stuff. I want to focus on a problem with my side of the debate, those that are on the sort of team reality side have been pushing back against that paper, and that's fine, but that some are calling for it to be retracted. Now, the problem with this sort of angle is that, look, folks, we have been the targets of censorship of misinformation for 2 years now, since COVID hysteria began, and the entire argument against any centralized organization censoring quote-unquote misinformation is that it mucks with the very mechanisms that society and science use to slowly find the truth. If you really believe in free expression, then what you don't do is then go towards your opponent and see a publication or anything that they're expressing and ask it to be taken down. Now, I think there are cases where retractions are potentially if someone is making up out of whole cloth or mucking with data and just sort of, creating data that doesn't exist, that's a retraction-worthy paper. If I've published a paper and then I realize, or someone else points out to me, oh my gosh, in one entire column of my Excel spreadsheet, it turns out I was forgetting to divide by some putting the denominator in, and I got all the wrong results, and I'm really embarrassed, but it was a mistake. And someone points it out, or I realize it, then you just want the thing taken down because it's not a matter of interpretation. It's not maybe it's not even just unscientific. It is just extremely error prone, and it wasn't intended to go out like that. So things like that you can imagine retracted. But the idea of a retraction should be the very rare cases on the side where there are things like that, not a general rule. You start making it a general rule, all that you're going to end up doing is it's going to be then used as a political football to label your political enemy's paper as put a stamp of retracted on it, even if sometimes retractions, they still stay in the record, but it has this big stamp of retracted on it, and that's basically just a way of making sure that your opponent's speech looks unclean, and it's done via political forces rather than the organic free expression forces which happen through post-publication peer review. As we've talked about before, peer review isn't really a big deal. That is, pre-publication peer review is mostly gatekeeping. They're just trying to make sure it's not crazy. They're trying to make sure in particular it's really interesting, because there's too many ideas out there to be worth publishing all of them. You gotta make sure that it's actually a worthwhile study that someone's interested in. But the real peer review process, the real process is after the fact, and the extent to which the entire community cites it or criticizes it, and all the kinds of things that are said or discussed about it afterwards. It's that entire community reaction, and you want it to be done in a decentralized fashion, not by any kind of political powerful forces, because that's just going to be abused in the long run. So you have to maintain consistency in your life. All of these free expressive principled positions that you need to have are completely undermined when suddenly you don't like what somebody is saying and you're demanding that it be retracted. And again, not on the basis of some kind of creating data out of nowhere. Obviously, there's biases involved. We know this guy has his own biases, and you have to interpret the results in those biases. And you can publish in articles, your own Substack, your own blog. You can publish actual things in that journal. There's many ways to attack an article that you don't like. Asking it to be stamped with the uncleanliness that comes with retraction is just another way to label misinformation, label something misinformation and get it censored, which is what we are against. And that was your Science Moment.